Like the hat? Oh, hi, good morning. I think I'm lost. Maybe you could... Oh, well, I got off on... Oh, thanks. Hi.
Young Becky here says you're lost, trying to find the interstate.
I am. I was on your Highway 73, and I somehow got...
Now, that can wait. It's time for breakfast.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, if you insist. Wow, grits. Yum.
How is it you come to like grits, stranger?
Well, sir, I'm a good Southern boy.
You don't say.
Absolutely. Why, I remember my grandmother's house, white hominy grits were always on the table come breakfast time. Although I have to say, ma'am, I don't remember hers looking or smelling as good as yours.
Oh, why, it's nothing, sir. It's just cornmeal. I use it for everything around here.
So it's a multitasker then?
Yeah. We just call it good Southern country food.
Country cooking. And you know, not just this country. Why, in Europe, Africa, even Asia, they eat a lot of cornmeal.
You don't sound Southern.
Oh, I had to lose my accent for television. Hey, you know that cornmeal's become so popular, they're even serving it in ritzy restaurants in New York City, San Francisco, Chicago. It's really funny. You go there and you watch these people eat, and you swear they've never seen polenta before in their whole life.
What you trying to say, boy?
Nothing, just that, you know, when you remove the cultural part of the equation, grits and polenta are the same thing. You know, perception is a funny thing. I mean, polenta and grits are identical twin siblings, and yet, depending on where you live, one's considered heritage and the other's considered heresy. And that's a real shame, because I gotta tell you, cornmeal's got 3 times the culinary potential of rice and pasta put together. So no matter what country you are from, you ought to call cornmeal after wheat. More acres of this planet are dedicated to the cultivation of corn, or as most of the world says, maize, than to any other grass, or crop for that matter. But relatively few of those acres are dedicated to the maize that most of us think of when we think of corn. Truth be told, sweet corn really isn't that important as far as foodstuffs go. Neither is popcorn. Nope. The really important stuff is either flint or dent corn, named after the dimples that form in the center of the kernels when it dries. Now, these varieties are very low in sugar, but very high in starch, which means that they're well suited to drying and milling, which is a good thing, because fresh, this stuff tastes nasty. When it comes to buying cornmeal, if the words stone ground don't appear somewhere on the package, just walk away. Same for bags that include words like instant or fast. Now, stone ground meals come in fine, medium, and coarse grinds. And although I've heard it argued that polenta is always made from medium ground yellow cornmeal, while grits are always made from coarse ground white meal, there is no standardization for these products in the marketplace. In fact, many marketers put the words grits and polenta on the very same bag. And technically, they are correct. But it should be noted that hominy grits, the standard grits of the Deep South, are ground only from white corn, which has been treated with an alkali such as lye, which changes the chemical structure of the kernels, making it blow up to several times its original size. When hominy is dried, ground, and cooked, the resulting gruel never becomes smooth. In other words, hominy grits are grittier than non-hominy grits. But that doesn't mean they're the only grits. After all, cornmeal is the ingredient. Grits and polenta are simply dishes made from them. Although there are many, many differences between here, the southern United States, and here, northern Italy, the absorption rate of water into a tiny grain of cornmeal is not one of them. And that means that grits and polenta are exactly the same thing. What in the world? Oh. Well, I suppose I should have seen this coming. What in the blazes? Well, I have to say, this I didn't see coming. Nice marble, though. There. Okay, so I will rephrase my prior statement to say that if there is a difference between grits and polenta, it's not in the cornmeal. It is in the liquid used, the method used, and the flavors that are added. The meal's exactly the same. Here we have 1 common vessel of coarse ground cornmeal and 2 sauciers, each alike in dignity, here in Fair Kitchen, where we set our scene. Now, polenta usually begins with a vegetable sweat, and that is where we will begin. 2 tablespoons of olive oil over medium heat. Add 1 medium red onion, chopped. It's about 3/4 of a cup. And 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. Now just stir this off and on for 4 to 5 minutes or until the onion softens. And by the way, soft bubbling is okay. Loud sizzling means you got it too hard. There. When the onion's soft, add 2 cloves of garlic, minced, and cook another 2 minutes. Okay, now comes the identical method part of things, okay? This side gets 1 quart of chicken broth, okay? And we're going to bring that to a boil over high heat. There. Now, over here on this other side, 2 cups of milk and 2 cups of water. In other words, a quart. As well as 1.5 teaspoons of coarse salt. I like kosher. Polenta broth comes to a boil. We will very, very slowly sprinkle in 1 cup of our cornmeal. Why is this important? Well, by pouring slowly in a stream, you ensure that each little granule is going to be quickly surrounded by hot liquid, and that will help create a pudding-like texture. If you just dump the meal all in at once, you're going to have lumps. And here's where we deviate from standard operating procedure. Clamp on the lid and move this to a 350-degree oven for 40 minutes, okay? Now, this is a real departure from the grit procedure, but I really think that polenta ought to have an almost custard-like texture, and I think the best way to get that is low, even heat from all the way around and very little agitation. We will stir this, though, but only about every 10 minutes. That means 4 stirrings. Yeah, that's right. When the milk and water combo comes just to a boil, go ahead and sprinkle in 1 cup of cornmeal. Now, unlike polenta, I like grits to have a slightly heavier, starchier kind of feel to them. And to get that, I'm going to cook them over direct heat with frequent agitation. There, I'm just going to clamp on the cover. We're going to cook this for 20 to 25 minutes, but we're going to come back and stir every 2 to 3 minutes. And the key is to keep this heat as low as you can get it. And our grits are done. They're creamy, but still just a little bit al dente. But hey, contrast is good. Now, I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, just as we do to the polenta, and work that in gently. Give a taste, and then we'll adjust the salt. Okay, just a little bit. Now, you can enjoy these as is, or you can enjoy them even more by adding 4 ounces of shredded cheddar cheese. I like the sharp kind, but add it a little bit at a time so that it has time to melt. There. Now that our grits are finished, it's time to turn our attention to the polenta, which is ready to come out of the oven. However, that doesn't mean it's done. We still have a lot of flavor to add to this pot of corn. Now we work in 3 tablespoons of butter. Softened will go in a lot faster. And 2 ounces of grated Parmesan cheese. And no, I don't mean the stuff in the green can. A few grinds of pepper. And now, the corny truth. Buon appetito. Grazie.
Why, despite a rather disquiet and yellow hue, these grits are delightful.
Bene, polenta, grazie.
Prego. But I think you mean molto bene, big guy.
Pretty lady, how do you like the polenta?
I don't know what you mean, I assure you, but the grits are delightful.
Posso?
Please. May I?
Ah, sì.
Why, that's dinner grits, only grittier.
It's a smooth and a cheesy. You eat it for breakfast?
Every day but Sunday.
Well, there's nothing a southern boy like me likes to see more than foodborne hospitality.
Pardon me, did you say you're from the South?
Yes. Perhaps Southern California.
Southern Florida.
Okay, that's fine. Multivaffo. Country food. You want me to make some real country food? Why, if only I had a... Well, if only I had a pan like this with some parchment paper and a flexible cutting board and a spatula, I could, well, I'd take my corny porridge and I could just pour it in here like this. Yeah, I could do that. And I would just smooth it out like this. Now, this stuff can be kind of sticky to work with, so if you don't have a silicone spatula, you're probably going to want to spray your rubber spatula with a little no-stick spray. And then I would just let this cool just to room temperature, okay? And then I'd slide it in the refrigerator for 1, maybe 2 hours until it's set. And it'd be like this. Then I would just take my mat, put it on top, flip it over, remove the paper, and I'd have nice set polenta. Then I could take something like this and cut it into shapes, just like this. And once I've done that, I could very easily toss these in a little oil and deep fry them or saute them. Or I could cook them over a really, really hot and scrupulously clean grill. Now, if the grill is not scrupulously clean, the polenta is going to stick, and that's going to get really ugly. I take out some anti-stick insurance by rubbing down the grill grates right over the fire with just a little bit of vegetable oil on a towel. Move fast, there might be a little bit of flame, but it'll be okay. I also ensure against stickage by dabbing just a little bit of oil across all of the polenta on both sides, and I already did the first side. So deliver these to the grill. I do this about 6 at a time. Whatever you do, once the rounds go down, don't touch them for 2 minutes. Now, once the pieces go down, things are going to happen pretty quickly. Less than a minute later, they'll be ready to flip. Be gentle, and don't be discouraged if some of them have a little brown around the edges. Believe it or not, it's pretty tasty. Now, I imagine that by now, you good people are wondering if cornmeal is good for anything other than making up an old bowl of mush, which is good, but perhaps inappropriate when one is hankering for something that is sweet, tropical, and yet still genuinely southern, such as myself. Well, tell me, children, can you say pineapple, upside down cornmeal cake? I knew that you could. Well, we'll start things off by sprinkling this here cup of stone ground cornmeal right into this 3/4 of a cup of boiling milk. And we're just going to let that sit and hydrate a while we come down here. Now, you see that I've got a cast iron skillet sitting right on top of medium heat. You can look right down there and see that fire. Yep, there it is. Now, into that, we are going to put 8 tablespoons, that's 4 ounces of unsalted butter. We're going to let that melt. Not only are we going to allow that to melt, we are going to carefully brush it all the way up the sides of the pans so that the batter won't stick later on. There, our butter's going to brown just a little bit, and we're going to let that melt all the way. I bet that brush is finger licking good, don't you? Now, we're going to add 1 cup of dark brown sugar right on top of that butter. Gracious me. And just stir that until it melts thoroughly. I reckon that'll take about, I don't know. Well, looks like 5 minutes is just about perfect. You can see here we've got ourselves a kind of grainy syrup going, and that's just right. So we're going to turn that heat all the way off and set our spoon aside safely. Now, the fun part. You're going to open yourself up a can of your Colonel Bob's sliced pineapple and heavy syrup. This comes from one of my plantations down in Honduras. And you're going to very carefully place one of these rings right in the center of the pan. Very carefully. That syrup's done hot. You be careful now. There. Now, we're going to place more and more circles. I see you. Right all the way around that first one, just like some kind of gosh darn planetary orbital thing, I swear. There we go, one goes there. That's going to bubble up a little. That's just from that syrup hitting the pan. And there's number 5. Well, that's right pretty. It's kind of getting on my suit, though. Now, we got ourselves 6 maraschino cherries, red as a blushing bride. We're just going to put one of them right there in the circle of every one of them pineapples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, that's going to be the top of our cake. We're going to now sprinkle on about 1/3 of a cup of good southern pecans, toasted, chopped up. There we go. Just sprinkle those right over. Continue, please, to exercise caution as this is hot. There, sprinkling, sprinkling, sprinkling a little bit more. There you go. Last but by no means least, we're going to measure ourselves out about 3 tablespoons of this good old Colonel Bob pineapple syrup. Just going to dip right in there and just barely sprinkle that across there. It is going to hiss at you. Tablespoon number 2. There. Tablespoon number 3. Now, this just needs to sit here and cool itself down while we go over yonder and deal with that batter. Come on. Well, what we have here is the muffin method. Now, you remember the muffin method, don't you? It's when we take all the dry ingredients and we mix them all up together. Then we come over and we take all the liquidous ingredients and we mix them up together. And then we bring the two and we mix them all together, but not too much, lest our cake be tough. Now, let's get going here. I got myself 4 3/4 ounces by weight of all-purpose flour. That's about a cup, you know. And I'm going to whisk that up with about 2 teaspoons of baking powder. There we go. And 1/2 teaspoon of plain old table salt. I don't take to that kosher stuff there. That's fine. All right, we're going to set that aside and come on over here. We got ourselves another bowl. We're going to put in it these 3 eggs. And I'm just going to beat those up just a little bit. And then we're going to whisk ourselves in 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Now, I know, look at me when I'm talking to you. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Colonel Bob, that ain't a wet thing. No, it's not. But most bakers treat sugar like a wet product because it dissolves so readily in liquid. Look at that. It's not happening. Look at that. All right. Now, to that, we're going to add ourselves 1/2 cup of good old canola oil. There. Just like that. And we'll let them emulsifiers in that egg go to work. Oh, I done forgot to... Gotta get the corn over here. We wouldn't have had much cake without this. Now we're going to take our mush that we done made a few minutes ago. We're going to put that right in there like that. Don't want to get that on my soup. There. Oh, well, it's southern, it's messy. We're going to mix that up a little, and then we're going to mosey over to our dried ingredients. There we go. And now, the secret. This is the secret of the whole operation. We're going to use a lot of speed here, so stick with me. There we go. The wet stuff goes right on into the dry stuff. I'll set that right over there. Now we're going to mix them together, but we're not going to overmix them. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Walk away. I said just walk away. That's right. It's going to be a little lumpy, and I don't care. Now, come on over here. Now, we carefully pour our batter directly on the fruit. But do it gently. Do it very, very gently. There we go. Now, I'm going to set that aside. This whole contraption is going to go straight into the middle of a 350-degree oven. I done got that already right over here. Be careful you don't drop none on the oven door like I did. Whew! I'll be in trouble for that later, I'm sure. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'll go enjoy myself a lovely beverage. Yes. Well, howdy. We're back, and look, our cake-like device has come out of the oven all beautiful, brown, and crunchy. Well, let that cool down now for at least half an hour before you go turning its world upside down. It'll turn yours up, that's for sure. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take a platter or a plate. This one's made out of that bamboo. Ain't never seen the likes of it. We'll put it right down there over the top. Going to get a good grip, and then as quick as you can, flip that bad boy over. Give it a little thump. Hello, we're coming in. Woo! Look at there. Great gosh, goodness almighty, that's pretty. Now I'm going to take a knife and I'm just going to cut myself a little wedge. I'm hungry right now, so just kind of dive in there, make a first cut. I like to cut right into the middle of that cherry. I do. There you go. Now I'm going to get myself a little wedge out, just like that. Oh my goodness, but that is one slice of tropical southern heaven, and 100% genuine, I'll show you. Well, I hope that we've inspired you to experiment with one of the most multitasking of pantry pals of all time, cornmeal. Is the country cooking? You bet it is. But if you'll look past your own borders, you'll see that the cornmeal tradition has international appeal. Of course, nothing says good eats quite like old-fashioned grits. Certainly not that highfalutin, city-fied old polenta. No siree. Grits are the thing. Hi, I was looking for the people that live here.
They don't live here no more. I like the ponies. A little too much, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I think I do know what you're saying. Okay, bye.
Hey, what was that you were saying about polenta?
Polenta? I was saying that I have some right here.
Oh, great. Well, come on in. We always got time for some good eats.
Okay.